Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Some interesting cheating accusations going around last night with a suspicious clip coming out of Scrappy in their series up against the Subliners. Scrappy has an explanation for it. Whether you buy it or not, that's up to you. But also Kenny and even JP Chris, the coach of OpTic, explaining what they've done after the loss to the Miami Heretics, how they're going to try and regroup for the series on Sunday up against Atlanta FaZe. Can OpTic regain and continue their great record against FaZe as we've seen for the last several years? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Before we begin today, if you guys are anything like me, working from home, sitting down for extended periods of time, you'll probably know that it's not necessarily the best for your health or for your posture. When I used to work in an office back in the day, I absolutely loved the standing desk that I had. It would hydraulically move up and down between standing and sitting, so when FlexiSpot reached out to me the other day looking for me to try theirs, it was the perfect fit. This is the FlexiSpot E7 Pro standing desk, 160 kg weight capacity, super stable C-leg design, an under-desk cable management slot, and concealed magnetic tray, which I should probably use more, but the best feature is this keypad. It can remember up to 4 preset heights, so I just press a button and it moves between my perfect sitting and standing positions, 40mm a second faster than their E7 and E8 models. Their BS12 Pro is also the best chair that I've had, with a 3-button easy adjustment for height, seat depth and back tilt, reclining from 105 to 135 degrees, dynamic back support, adjustable armrest, adjustable headrest, 250 kg weight capacity, all the good stuff that you would expect. So with the New Year sales now on, check out the links in the description box below if you guys are interested in any of these products. Have a look at the offers, get the best deals on the web. Thanks to FlexiSpot for supporting today's content. Let's get back in with the video. Firstly, you guys might have seen this going around yesterday. Ranked play is very much a thing at the moment, and Trek have confirmed, of course, they do the ranked even though it's another developer's game. Trek still are carrying the ship in terms of making ranked play happen, but they've confirmed they will try as far as possible to closely follow the Pro GAs, which is interesting because the CDL doesn't officially recognize them, but I do think it's good in general that Treyarch want to try and make ranked as close to the pro experience as possible. In general, that's a good thing. The problem is that it does mean that if the pros GA stupid stuff, at least as far as I and maybe the community are concerned, that then gets reflected in the gaming experience itself. So these are the things that will be banned soon. The XR, like one of the sniper rifles, is going to go, and also notably really the SVA 545, which is a decent weapon. I don't think it got changed at all. I'm pretty sure it didn't get buffed in the recent update. I'm not really sure why. Now, to be fair, this wasn't really the pros because the pros haven't even played the new patch update really. They've been playing the old one, of course, the matches. So really it was the challengers that decided to get rid of the SVA, but that's now like a GA and it's not going to be used, and it probably never was going to be anyway because MCW rival, that's how it's going to be. It always ends up in a 2-weapon meta, but there was maybe a chance that the SVA could kind of become like a bit of a flex gun, but if it was to become a flex gun, it probably would replace more so one of the subs than one of the ARs, so I don't really mind, but it just does mean that, you know, things that the pros ban that we might not agree with get reflected in the game. There's also only so much Treyarch can do here really, just because they can't enforce like 2 trophies per team. The technology doesn't exist to do that, so they can't enforce all the GAs. They're going to try their best, which I think in general is a positive. Like, we do want what the pros play to be as close as to what ranked is as possible, but it's, you know, obviously there's some questions on that. There's also this though, that the knife, like the secondary melee weapons in ranked play, will be 2-hit kills. So whether that's you know, good or a bad solution, people are saying, well, you know, if you use the knife, it obviously makes you move faster, which is one thing, so not really sure this makes a massive amount of difference, but it is nonetheless interesting of what they're trying to do for ranked play at the moment. Also wanted to mention this, I thought this is pretty crazy actually. So all of the regions for this first Challengers Cup, the teams that had signed up for it, there was some sort of sign up thing with FaceIt where you had to like log in or register within a 24-hour period, and most of the teams, because this wasn't previously the case when it was on Game Battles, but it is a feature of FaceIt, means that like a large majority of teams, or okay, a large minority really, it was 110 of 249, but this was the case in Europe, it was the case in APAC, that like half of the teams were about to get kicked out of the tournament because they hadn't finished signing up correctly. The crazy thing about this was, I don't think the CDL tweeted about this, I don't think anybody knew about this until the rotation actually tweeted about it to say, hey guys, just so you know, these teams haven't properly finalized your participation, so you're going to need to solve that right about now. So, you know, honestly, without ad, I don't know what would have happened here. I think loads of teams would have been kicked out, which is, yeah, definitely not ideal. I imagine as a result of this, lots of the pros realise that fact. But of course, yesterday, one of the surprising series, I mean, there was lots of rapid-fire series yesterday. Today, we're expecting to be rapid-fire series, so I don't know if that's going to go the other way around. We'll discuss them in a few minutes' time. But OpTic played Miami, of course, the classic Florida curse, but there's no doubt that Miami played better than OpTic here. OpTic's teamwork, as we mentioned yesterday, was very much up for debate, and there's been lots of explanations as to why that might be the case, to be honest, and exactly what OpTic are planning to do about it. Now, I don't think Kenny will be too concerned about losing online series. This is, you know, he made a career out of this, right? I mean, the last couple of years, LA Thieves were not exactly the best online team, and then they'd go to LAN and always deliver. But that's always a slightly different story when they were playing out of LA, which is historically, at least in terms of the CDL perspective, difficult, more difficult from an internet perspective than playing in Dallas, where the teams generally have a good internet situation, and Toronto with the Bell Fiber, they're known to be pretty good. Of course, Aches was doubling down on his opinion about, you know, Aches and OpTic, they're looking shaky, and believing that he was potentially right on the money here, right? And look, at the end of the day, Toronto got slammed by Boston, like, before Christmas, and that was, you know, talked about, but since then, Toronto have come different, right? In their last couple of series, they've done very well, so I think it's the fact that OpTic lost those 2 maps to Vegas, and then they started to play proper cards, but we know that Vegas can't win a control to save their life. Miami are a different story, and there was talk on the flank last night, I think for good reason, that the map set that OpTic ended up getting here was not exactly Miami favourable, but just because OpTic don't play sub-base hardpoint, and there's a couple of maps they just refuse to play, which maybe implies lacking confidence in their map pool, that they can come against a team like Miami and actually play maps where they are far from favoured and don't have quite a strength in depth map pool like some of the, you know, let's say Atlanta and Toronto most certainly seem to have. And as Kenny says, nothing to say, gotta fix up fast, not just for the FaZe series on Sunday tomorrow, but of course for the major itself next weekends. You don't want to have a 0-2 week going into the major. That's, you know, doesn't set the trajectory, doesn't set the momentum in the right way. You want to have confidence going into the event rather than questioning everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks. JP actually said as well, you know, they showed up, Miami, we didn't work as a team together, talked about it today for a long time, so I guess, you know, hours after the game they discussed this, and will look to refocus for FaZe. So obviously FaZe is going to be a massive challenge. We know that historically OpTic have a great record against FaZe, no denying that, but, you know, the way they played yesterday, FaZe are looking like they don't tend to, FaZe's ceiling is very high, and so is their floor. Like, I think in all the series FaZe have played so far, they've been pretty damn good, and like none of them have ever really had a bad series apart from Drazah occasionally in Search and Destroy. So it's just going to take a lot to beat FaZe right now, and well, OpTic will certainly need to show up. I did think it was interesting, I wanted to mention this, because there was talk over the last couple of weeks really about which teams have been grinding the most. FaZe are certainly, of all the, you know, positive aspects of that team, they have a lot of talent on their roster, they have a lot of championships on their roster, they also have probably the hardest work ethic in the league, definitely right up there. Drazah carries the weight in some respects, but look, Christmas was over, whatever, New Year's was coming up, and FaZe, and I think LA Gorillas were considered, those two teams were right back on the grind. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, you know, go home and see family, obviously that's massively important, but there was questions raised at the time, especially given the fact that Pred got his visa late, right? You guys probably remember back in November, he was a little bit late getting to the States, it was about 5-6 days, maybe something like that OpTic lost in practice, so their first few days of practice that OpTic had when the season started, when the game launched, were compromised, and therefore they were slightly behind the curve, but then OpTic came pretty good, right? They, towards the start of December when the league began, they were looking good, sure, they lost to the Subliners, but apart from that, they were seemingly getting better and better, especially before Christmas, they slammed Carolina, I'm sure there was lots of confidence, but about that time, there was a change to the spawns, right? There's obviously been the massive update over the last couple of days, but even there was a recent update before that where the terminal spawns got changed and the game is just a little bit different. So over that period before and after Christmas, I'm pretty sure Pred went back to Australia for, you know, a good couple of weeks. I don't know, it was at least something like 10 days or something like that. And sure, maybe there's no issue with that, but I know that people will say, and people have been saying, that, well, Pred was a little bit late coming out in the first place, so OpTic was slightly under practice. Then over the Christmas New Year period, when other teams were practicing, learning, grinding the new spawn update, Pred was back, and therefore OpTic, you know, weren't able to get the practice in that they wanted, or maybe not that they even wanted to do, but that they could have potentially done, that FaZe did, for example. And now OpTic are behind the curve, they're under practiced, and they're in a position now where, you know, they're behind other teams that have been grinding harder, which is maybe a consistent trend, right? So definitely intrigued to your thoughts on that one, but we've got to talk about this clip that was going around yesterday from Scrappy during the series against the Subliners. So no doubt that they obviously slammed them, right? It was a crazy quick 3-0 really. Again, in the same way that OpTic didn't turn up, Subliners didn't turn up, their teamwork was not even there. And as I said yesterday, I expected something from Kismet here, but he dropped like a 0.7, and what was it? Sib had like a 0.8 or something. Like, look, it was never expected that Sib was going to drop a 1.6 again and again, literally forever. But I thought Subliners would be better than this. I thought they'd at least put up a fight as well in the search and destroy, given the fact that they were undefeated in that game mode so far. But this was the clip in question here on the control. So Tron's already up 2-0 in the series at this point, and well, here comes Scrappy around this top building, and well, there's one man down here near the bus, and he actually, this is HyDra, right? And he shoots a burst of his Renetti through the floor here, right where HyDra is. So, and then he, jumps around, and then he says, okay, well, I actually here the guy is, and he puts a couple of bursts into him and doesn't get the kill. But, unlucky. So, very interesting clip, and obviously Scump and Methods are like, okay, what's going on here? Like, we got him type thing. And look, these type of things occasionally happen for various reasons, but this might be, if he was live pinged or whatever, this might be a thing you might do, just come around and like shoot where the thing is or whatever, but that doesn't exist in the CDL. So people wondering, okay, what exactly is going on here? Why has he just shot a burst through the wall exactly where HyDra is? And you often will see this around like different esports. There's been cases in Counter-Strike many a time where someone will like, they'll flick up to a wall and it'll happen there'll be someone behind that wall, 3 buildings away on the other side of the map, and it will look really suspect. But the reality is that occasionally these types of things like just are going to happen. You're going to get lucky with where you happen to put your crosshair, but actually firing a burst is pretty interesting. So people were kind of wondering, okay, what actually is the explanation here? And it was not so easy to explain. Scrappy though came out with his perspective on the flank yesterday.
What the hell? Everyone's gassing up this scrap replay.
Gets to the point, and if they decide to rush it, when they see that progression going up because you have multiple players on it, they're going to start to hit routes that they probably wouldn't hit on a normal basis. But the fact that there's only one player on it, they have time to go around back red, to work their way through middle map.
That was
the kids.
We caught him. Get him out. That was
the kids. Let's get him out of here.
Walk away with the defense.
You gotta go.
On the attack. Subliners right.
Let me see here. Let me see. This is Scrappy in here. Whoa!
Yo, what you shooting at, Ernie? What are you shooting at right there? What are you shooting at right there, bro?
Yo, I'm pretty sure on my screen there was a dead body right there.
Oh, yeah. That's what you think there was going to be because you were hacking. And
I think so. If there wasn't, that looks
a dead
insane.
body right there, bro.
There is a gun sitting on the ledge, so.
Oh, yeah, there's a gun sitting on a ledge. Maybe you're right.
Observation,
That's a
and
great
I like,
observation.
and I like flinched at it. And he was
What
there.
are you guys gonna do? Go over there and
wait, hold on. That body though, everyone's alive in this clip.
Nah, it's control though,
It's
Slay.
still a dead body though, like
Body's left.
It's control, Slay.
you don't just disappear. You don't just go
Bodies
invincible,
despawn. Bodies
after a
despawn.
while.
After a while, they're not there like, they're there for a while. Yeah.
Man, this shit wasn't even close either. These games suck.
Yeah, I told you, Sam, they were literally
I'm
so
hitting him with
fast.
6 in the back. How is he not dying?
So Scrappy's explanation does make a fair bit of sense, actually, that there was a dead body there in this corner on his screen that you definitely don't always see on the Cockcaster mode. So there was like a body right here. He actually shot at it thinking it was somebody laying down. And you can see the, the weapon here that was dropped, the Toronto Ultra kind of camo thing. So maybe one of his teammates had died up here and we can't see the body on our screen, but he could see it on his screen. And then he just happens to run into HyDra and, have a couple of shots at him. So, that is probably what was going on. And as Scrappy says, I'm a hacker, do something about it, right? So, yeah, pretty doubtful. I don't think he'd be saying this if he actually was doing anything dodgy. I thought this explanation here from Scarecrow was maybe the most accurate, that, Scrappy's net gave him the advantage to see over the balcony and shoot early. It's all good, guys. It's his neck and not the hack. So, classic explanation there. But also from Insight, right? And Insight and CleanX also joking around this story. So, I doubt there's too much to it, but keep an eye on it, right? Because maybe that's why Scrappy's been pretty good for the last couple of years. He's got those Jimbo red boxes appearing on the screen when it really matters. These, though, are the games of today. Toronto play again. As I said a few days ago, it's kind of strange to me that we've got so many back-to-back games here, as in Ultra played last game yesterday, they now play first game today, which I don't think will be a problem for them, especially because Legion haven't been especially good. Given the fact that 43% of series so far this year in the CDL have been 3-0s, I'm expecting some more today, but I don't know if just because I expect some good series, or expect some bad series, really, then we're actually going to get some good series. But some of these have got to be DoorDash challenges, right? I mean, Ultra Legion has got to be one of them. Miami Gorillas is going to be interesting because, without that Rocker Gorillas series, I would have said that this would actually have been very interesting. But after yesterday, you've got to say that Miami looked the stronger. And I think I will lean Miami's way here. I think they should be able to double down on that result yesterday against OpTic. And also, as I said yesterday, they've both got pretty good teamwork, but the talent on Miami is better. But then again, if FaZe game just turns up and drops a 1.3, which he sometimes does, then Gorillas can easily win this series. But yesterday he had like a 0.7, so it's just kind of strange with Fame. I've got to take Miami on the balance of probabilities. Surge Rocket is probably the most interesting series of the day, really, because, you know, Rocket 2-4. They're in a position to get to winners. If they win this series, they go, you know, 3-4, which is like an incredible accomplishment starting 0-4, and they could well do it. Surge are okay. Rocker's Search and Destroy, though, I've got to say, is still questionable. Without Vivid doing, you know, massive damage on High Rise yesterday, I still think Rocker's Search is pretty bad, and I think Surge's Search is pretty good. So I'm going to take Seattle in 5 here, but I do hope that we at least have something of a competitive series between these two, because I do think Rocker have been getting slightly better, but I don't think they're still as good as Surge, and their Search and Destroy won't be, so that's going to be my prediction. And then, man, FaZe Ravens. Like, I guess there's nothing to lose here for Ravens at this point. You know you're starting in the losers bracket. You've just made a change. Fellows come in. TJ's still going to be there for the weekends, so you now play FaZe. Sure, FaZe are going to test map pool, right? They're going to do everything they can. They're going to probably play all of their worst maps in the series, FaZe, because they're already in winners. They probably feel like they're going to win regardless, so this is the perfect time for FaZe to test things out. So I think this series, you know, I'm not expecting Ravens to get, you know, 100-point club, 6-0 in the Search and 3-0 in the Control, although they still might. But it is going to be a tester, of course, for Carolina to see with Fellow in the team whether they can do anything, because to beat FaZe, you need to slay. And the slaying questions on that Ravens team are probably the biggest questions, especially because GodRx was meant to be the guy getting kills. That never happens. Fellow, on paper, isn't really the guy to be getting crazy amount of kills, so we'll see what they deliver. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.